Hey guys, Ron here. You know, I got to thinking about it this last 24 hours, and you know, I really think the one thing to grow your business the most right now is when you take when you think outside the box and you actually reverse engineer who your ideal customer is. And let me try to be a little bit more specific on that. What I'm finding out is that what you would think would be a customer, it usually is a customer. It's just not specific enough. In today's world, I'll give you an example. In real estate, I might go for people that are thinking about buying a house this year. That's somebody that's 6 to 12 months out maybe from buying, and that's not the ideal customer. Whereas somebody that's saying, you know, I think I'm going to get out of renting in a few months because I'm tired of renting. I feel stuck renting. That's actually a much better customer because there's a pain point and they're ready to do something. If my headline is even more specific about how, you know, your lease is expiring in a couple of weeks, that's even better customer because the timing's even better and they're more likely to follow through. So that's just an example of how your conversion ratio would go up quite a bit by the time you get them on the phone, or by the time you get them to click on the headline or get them to do a call to action to make a phone call. This, I believe, is going to be true with anybody from realtors to insurance salesmen to attorneys to anybody that's good on the phone, that wears a suit, that's a salesperson, that knows their product, they know how to sell, they know how to close. The lifetime value of the customer is actually worth something. It's worth thousands of dollars like a realtor. I actually think that's a huge advantage. I know a lot of the growth hackers online, they like to do a lot of like $7 trials, and they like to do a lot of like $20 core products and some of that kind of stuff. I actually really like the ones, the salespeople, such as the insurance salesmen and the realtors and the people that have been doing it for a long time, that have much more customer relations, and they have much more $5,000 to $10,000 products, or thanks for the hearts, or they're going to be making investing money with them in time and the relationship funnel and stuff. Because what happens is there's this huge, because the way that most of those people meet people is through networking or through social interactions over a very long period of time. So what happens is they're very good at what they do, and they're very good in the fulfillment part of it, but the leads and the conversion part of it, they have not figured out how to scale that part up. So it's because they care so much about giving good quality that they spend all of their time in the fulfillment part, which doesn't give them any time to get leads and figure out how to convert them faster. Another thing too is if you ask somebody that's been doing a business for 10 or 15 years to name the exact client that they have, like what do they name it in 8 words or less in a headline, they can't do that, you know. And that's hey Fofia, what's up? I heard that you didn't make it over to Calhoun earlier. So that's what you want to do, is you want to reverse engineer everything. You want to figure out who. So I'll give you another example. I got a Facebook page, Law of Attraction Marketing, and I ran a test with people that were English speaking, United Kingdom, and also United States, and it was working pretty well. I got like, you know, I think I got down to 18 likes in just over a day, and it got 21 cents a like. Well, I decided to run a split test, which you should always do. And I ended up with just the United States. I took out the United Kingdom people, and they did everything exactly the same. You only change one variable. That's the rule. You only change one variable. So I changed the one variable, and I took out the United Kingdom and just kept the United States. And I had a couple likes within the last 12 hours or so, and those are at like 51 cents a like right now. So you say, well, that's 3 times as much. Well, it's actually probably 8 to 10 times as much, because there's a chance that the United Kingdom people, I were getting those for like 12, 13 cents each, and the United States ones were actually moving it way up. So when you do Facebook advertising too, you'll also notice how many variables there are. So you just want to keep eliminating the variables. You might have certain clients in certain cities, certain demographics, male versus female, certain age groups. Those are all things to keep in mind. I'll give you another example. In a lot of these malls, I noticed in the last couple of years that you saw a lot of smartphone cover cases for like 30 to 50 bucks, designer ones. It doesn't seem like a great use of $35 to $50, but at the same time, the people that are shopping for those have smartphones, and a lot of their smartphones are $300 to $500. So your demographic of people with smartphones are people that have $500 to spend on a phone. Well, if they have $500 to spend on a phone, they probably have discretionary income, and they probably have $50 to spend on that. So just always know your market. One thing that's working for me is to grow people's businesses is to really reverse engineer who their clients are and work on the headline. I've given this example before. We got Fofita on here right now. She's got, she does wood type stuff such as fences and decks. And, you know, I'm not off the top of my head thinking of a perfect headline right now, but like a really good headline would be like, you know, peeling stained deck causing issues or something like that. And then the phone number possibly in the ad. You know, fence falling apart or something like that. These are pain points. These are, so you can say stuff like $20 off on a fence today, but that's kind of like a positive thing, and like people aren't always looking to do the fence thing based on saving 20 bucks. You might even get more calls that way. You might even get people with just general interest, but it's the people who get to that boiling point where they just say, my fence is falling apart, my deck is peeling and it's embarrassing, I have people coming over. Something that happened to us when we were younger, there was our rotted deck. Rotted deck's a really good one. We had hole, kind of like the startup holes in our decks when we were growing up, when we were younger, and my mom was walking outside and her leg fell through the deck. And she like was stuck there for a little bit. She got out, but the problem was I think that temporarily hurt her for like the rest of her life. Still to this day, she's probably still got some minor injuries from that. So, you know, you see stories of decks that collapse and they kill people and stuff like that. So I mean, these are real fears that people have. So it's just about it's, you know, it's always good to say, you know, 20% off, you know, or not 20% off, but $20 off if you get it. And the other here's another thing you can do too is you could do something where people do more of a maintenance thing, like spraying down your deck or painting your deck or some of that kind of stuff. And then what you do is you do those on an annual basis, and when the time comes around, when somebody needs you to actually fix their deck, they're going to think of you because they're going to have already worked with you a few times. That's just a way to keep in touch with them more often. So, but look more for the pain points, such as you know, like I do with the real estate, is tired of renting, have good credit. Another one that I'm thinking of using is stuck renting, ? Escape with good credit would be another one that I'm testing. And then at that point, once you realize the headlines, then you just scale it up from there. You just go pay for advertising. At some point, you can probably pay for advertising to Star Tribune and everything else, but it's pretty important to get the headline right. It really creates the framework in which they're going to be reading what you're doing. So that's where a lot of my time is focused. Here's also where this Periscope was inspired from, is, you know, having been online off and on, you know, 20 years, it's really not very tough to get all the metrics online. I can get the followers, I can get the email lists, the Twitter followers, Facebook followers, YouTube views. I've done all of that. I've done them all to the point where they're not that hard to do. And getting the leads isn't even that hard to do, depending on what you call a lead. So I can keep people busy and just, well, here's ways to get people to call you, or here's a way to return people on Twitter, or return the people on email. But people don't just want to be busy. I mean, they want to 80-20 their time. They want to be efficient. So here's what I do is you basically have to figure out how to better identify the customer, and it evolves over time with the 80-20, and then that's where you fine tune it and you do that with the headline. So, and then you use that headline to attract people on Twitter, attract people on Facebook, attract them on email, you attract them on all the social platforms, Periscope, you attract them on all the social platforms when you get that headline right? There's millions of hashtags out there. Which hashtags do you use? I like the growth hacking one, the 80-20 one, and the 10X one. There are hashtags such as business and sales that get more, but there's also more competition. Also, to me, that's very general, you know. Entrepreneurship's another one that's very general. I've met a lot of people that claim to be entrepreneurs, but everybody's a little bit different when it comes to that. There's some people that have run multi-million-dollar businesses. There's some people that have been talking about running businesses for years. So everybody's a little bit different when it comes to that. So I do think that one of the highest value, probably the highest dollar activity that you can do for your business is really fine-tuning what that 6 to 10 words are that in a headline that identify who your ideal customer is. And just keep that in mind. A lot of people on Facebook, they post these articles with these great headlines. This person went here, and what he said next you're not going to believe. I mean, they have these great headlines that we call those clickbait headlines. Guy went into a cave and what he saw next, you won't believe what he saw. Or I told somebody these 6 ways to change their life, and the third one blew my mind. These are great headlines, but the problem is all it does is get a click to your headline. It doesn't necessarily ever have an end goal of making any money. But a lot of those companies, or a lot of those people that do that, all they want is eyeballs on their site because they're just selling advertising. So just, again, begin with the end in mind, reverse engineer it, and work it backwards. Is the headlines at the front, but you're also taking the people you talk to on the phone as a realtor, as a salesperson, as an attorney, taking those people on the phone and taking that feedback from what you hear from them, and you're reworking it to rewrite the headlines. So then you take a few more calls based on the new headline, and then you see what kind of feedback you get. And you're like, oh, they don't get it quite yet, or they do get it, or it's more about price than I thought, or it's more about information than I thought, or it's more about how do we operate, or how long we've been in business, or just some of those kind of things, the kind of feedback you're getting, objections you're getting from people, and then like rework it into the headline, and just keep evolving the headline and make the headline better and better and better. And the reason it's an art and a science is because the headline's typically only 5 to 8 words long. So and when you start advertising on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, you really don't have a lot of, they just don't give you a lot of room. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. And I'll do another one in a bit when I got more information for you, more ideas. So